Okay, it's now 1 o'clock and we've got a full agenda, so let's get started. And we will start with a prayer from our senior minister, Reverend Tim, and he will then roll right on into his senior minister's report.
Oh, wow, I'm going to roll right into it? Yes. Okay, row into it. All right. So good to have all of you here. Thank you for coming to the town hall, and we welcome you all. And we also have some people who will be watching online. So I invite you to take a deep breath. If you wish, close your eyes or relax your gaze. Ah, what a wonderful day. And we know and affirm the presence of God is here. We know that each one speaks from that place of love, speaks from that place of the Christ, and speaks from the place of truth. That even if we need to state something which we feel very, very strongly about, we state it with respect and love. And so we know together that we are one Ohana, and we give thanks. And so it is. Amen. All right. So good to have all of you here. Well, as you know, I was in New Zealand for 10 days. Had a wonderful time teaching and speaking there. It was not vacation, but it was a very productive time of working with the Australian and New Zealand Unity churches, leaders, and students. And so that's something that I really enjoy doing, is connecting with people around the world. And on Unity Worldwide Ministries, I'm on the board of trustees, and I'm the international liaison. So I have a special love for all of the people around the world and all our unity movement. And as soon as I got back here, things were very, very busy. I mean, they were busy when I left, and they were busy when I got back. I mean, it was like there was no break. It just go from one to the other. And so since I've gotten back, I've had the opportunity to do pretty good amount of spiritual counseling with people, praying with people, seeing people in the hospitals, and lots of meetings. We've had lots of meetings. How many meetings, including our training session, how many meetings has the board had? 5? 5 since I got back? 5 this month. Yeah, 5 in 2 weeks. 5 in 2 weeks. Yeah, so, you know, a lot of meetings. And so it reminds me of a joke. I don't know if you think it's funny or not. But, you know, I grew up in a tradition where we would talk about the great meeting in the air. That is, where we would be caught up with Christ, to meet Christ in the air, the rapture. And so a minister was hearing about being caught up into the air for that great meeting in the air. But he didn't look happy. And I said, Reverend, what is wrong? You look so sad. He said, the last thing I need is another meeting. Anyway. Okay. So, anyway, it's wonderful to be with you all. My remarks are remarkably short today so that we can have room for the rest of the agenda. All right. Thank you. Well, all right. And your mic is up here? We're going to roll.
Green. Since we're in the spiritual mode, we're going to roll right on into SEE classes with Catherine Burton.
Thank you. And I want to share with you what is happening with our spiritual education and enrichment program. It is really taking off. We just have completed 2 classes. One was the Eye of the Storm, capital letter I of the storm. We're the I. And in that we learned, first sentence was, nothing and no one is against you. And so everything in life is on the path to our healing and wholeness. in fulfillment of our divine purpose, which is to realize and express our divine nature. And the class ended yesterday, and now we're in a 21 days of applied reconciliation where each evening we go through the day and go, is there anything I need to reconcile, anything I could have done a little differently? What could I do, and what resource do I need to do it? And then we commit to do it for 21 days. So that's really interesting. I just finished a course called, and it's the same title as the book, There's a Spiritual Solution to Every Problem. This best-selling book by Dr. Wayne Dyer. It was extraordinary. And in that class, we learned that everything's energy and that there are higher frequencies, which he calls the spiritual. And then as the frequencies go lower, he says, you go into the world of problems. That's the lower frequency, the world of problems, where you're kind of in the material view, separated from God. So the whole course and every chapter of the book was learning how to raise our frequency into the spiritual, and the solution is indeed there. And he says, if all of your energies are in the spiritual, you can solve problems permanently. So these were extraordinary classes, really very much transformative, as people have said. Now we have 2 classes. We have a Christmas retreat coming up. So this is about realizing the Christ within you this Christmas. It will be the 5 days, mornings and early afternoon after Christmas, the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, not church Sunday, and the 31st, which is Monday. And from 9, and there are handouts, and it's on the bulletin board. From 9 to 11, Reverend Margie Hyatt will be doing Overview Christian Scriptures, and the emphasis, she told me how she went and did this course at Unity Village, and everybody sat down, and the first question they said is, what is your relationship to the Bible? So that's where it starts, and it's about helping the Bible to access its power and wisdom, and also in her class to help it become a spiritual tool in your life. And then secondly, I will be teaching a class from 11:30 to 1:30 on the Christ. And this will be a bit more experiential, looking at who is God, who is the Christ, who is Jesus in our lives, and how we can experience and realize more of that Christ. So if you have any questions, please see me. And as I said, there is a bulletin board. On the bulletin board are the flyers. Okay, thank you.
Okay, before I bring up Kathy, I want to have, no, sit down, please. I want to call on Jan. Where is Jan? There she is. Because I didn't put it on the agenda, and I don't want to run right by it. One of the things that I notice is that sometimes we get very excited here in Town Hall. And I'm all for excitement. But the one thing that I notice that sometimes happens is as people start to approach anger, other people shut down. So what we want to do is make sure that we create a safe place for everyone so that everyone feels they can share. And Jan, since she's our board psychologist in more way than one, has got some hints on how to help make this happen.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to first just run through what happens when we feel threatened, and then what we can do when we notice that we're feeling threatened. So when we have a threat of some sort, we go into fight or flight. Most people think threat, fear, flight. But when we're feeling angry, we're in that same fight or flight mode. When we're in that mode, rational thinking is out the window. So when you notice that you're feeling angry or afraid or hurt, then stop, breathe, and ask yourself, how am I feeling hurt? How am I feeling afraid? Or what do I think is going to go wrong? How do I think I could be hurt? Okay, these are some of the ways that anger shows up. Physical violence and verbal violence we're all pretty familiar with. Threats, but blame, sarcasm, put-downs are also all versions of anger, and they let you know that you're feeling hurt or afraid. So, how do I feel threatened? When you hear yourself do any of those things, then you can ask yourself this question. Okay. So, more specifically for today's meeting, here is a handy-dandy way to speak peacefully using I statements. An I statement is a statement of your own feeling, and it doesn't usually use the word you or he or they, because you're talking about yourself. I feel, and then whatever you're feeling about whatever the situation is. And although you can do I statements other ways that are more interpersonal, because we're in a group meeting, we really need to focus on what the situation is that's bringing up your sense of hurt or fear or worry or any of those more minor versions of fear or anger, annoyance, irritation, all of those minor versions of anger. I'm going to leave this right here. And when people are speaking, I'm going to also be over there if anybody needs any help with framing what they want to say as an I statement, because it's not easy when you first start doing it. I think we've talked about limiting questions to 30 seconds. In other words, when you get up to ask a question, just ask the question. And if you want to make comments, then use the I statements. Is there a limit on comments time? But is there a limit on time per person? 2 minutes? Or? Okay, we haven't set a limit on that. All righty. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we will hear from Kathy Whitmire, our treasurer. Sorry for the false alarm.
Thank you, Joanne. Well, it's great to see everybody here during the Christmas season. Thank you for taking your time on this Sunday afternoon to be with us. I want to say to begin with, if I could have an I statement, that I feel joyful about the progress that this community has made over the last couple of years in organizing our finances and having a clear financial vision for the future. So I want to thank everybody for your contribution to that joy. And I'm also joyful to have an assistant treasurer so that I'm not in this business all by myself. And I want to thank Marcia Bethards for being our assistant treasurer. And if anybody does not have a little piece of paper like this, a 2-page sheet, and you would like one, raise your hand, and Marcia will make sure you get one. Thank you so much, Marcia. Okay. I want to begin with a discussion of the financial statements that we have for the church activities for the date November 30th and the 11 months ended November 30th compared to our budget. And I'm so pleased that we have monthly financial statements forthcoming that we can rely on, that our unrestricted bank balance is over $9,000 because we've come through a period of tight cash flow, shall I say, but we have come past that period and have seen an increase in our bank balance, and we're looking forward to these next few months helping us build that bank balance so that we will have an operating reserve to rely on as we move forward in prosperity. The balance sheet called Assets, Liabilities, and Net Assets that you have before you shows what we have in the bank. $81,000 that is restricted by the donors for various purposes, in addition to our unrestricted amounts. And of course, we have the cost of our fixed assets that says $1.3 million. That is far less than the value of our property here, but that's the actual cost that we have in it. Looking at the bottom of current assets, up there fairly close to the top, it shows $487,937 in investments. And those investments at one point were called Legacies of Aloha. That's our permanent endowment to ensure the future of this ministry. And over the last year and a half, some of us on the board have been working to make sure that we have a good system to manage and maintain that permanent endowment in perpetuity. And I want to thank our vice president of the board, Thomas Gallagher, for chairing that effort, and thank all of you who approved it at the annual meeting. And I'd like to call on Thomas just for a moment to give you an update, because I think we're at a critical point with our endowment.
Well, this will be very, very short. I just wanted to let everybody know that at the annual meeting last year, the congregation approved the establishment of Unity of Hawaii Endowment Foundation. And in so doing, we ended up submitting to the IRS a request for us to become a 509A3. 509A3 is a supporting organization for the supported organization of Unity Church of Hawaii. We filled out the paperwork, and when we did so, we were told that we would need to put in more than just the EZ form. We would have to do it through a full form. We were told that it will take 6 months. Don't call us before 6 months. At the end of 6 months, 6 months and 5 days, you can call us back. 6 months and 4 days, we received our IRS letter saying we were approved. So, yippee, we're on our way. So that all is in effect. We do have officers that are on the Endowment Foundation that were appointed by me, because we had to appoint them until the establishment was done. And so now what the board will need to do is to appoint or to select the officers that are going to be on the board of Unity. There'll be a board of directors for the Unity of Hawaii Endowment Foundation. Okay? The people that are currently on include, I'm just going blank, I am so sorry. Mike Hamnett, excuse me, Mike, and Sally Hartman, and Jack Randall. So those are the four of us that are currently on. So thank you guys so very, very much.
Thank you, Thomas. Now that we finally have our IRS designation as a not-for-profit organization for the permanent endowment, we will be putting those investments in an account under that name that will be managed in an ongoing way by the board, and that board will officially be appointed by the Board of Trustees. I'm expecting that might happen in January, Joanne, I'm hoping. And so what we will be doing is getting a notice out in the e-newsletter and on our website to let you know the specific requirements for the people who will serve on a permanent basis on the board of directors of the Unity of Hawaii Endowment Foundation. I love to do things that have permanence, and so I take a great deal of pride, and I hope you all join me in that pride in seeing that endowment foundation created to provide for the permanent stability of this ministry. Let me just go on the back of that page. There is the 11-month actual to budget comparison of our church operations. And you can, I always like to just go down to the bottom line. And in the middle of the page, you see net ordinary income, which is kind of the bottom line that shows that we have expenses more than revenues during this 11 months of $27,000. Shows that we had anticipated that there would be some amount of expenses more than revenues, but not quite that much. We'd expected it to be more like $5,000. So we still have some ground to make up, which means that the operating reserves we had in the bank at the beginning of the year are not quite as high as they were at the beginning of the year. The good news is that December is generally our best month, and all of you who normally make your contributions in a bigger way in December in celebration of the Christmas season, don't forget to do that. I want to thank Reverend Tim for getting out a letter reminding everyone of the activities going on here during the Christmas season and asking for consideration of those year-end gifts. So I want to just put in that message that this is the time to hold in your vision and in your consciousness the abundance that comes to this ministry every year during Christ's season, during the season of Christ's birth. I won't go over the details of that page because I do want to get on to the other items, and Joanne has told me to keep it short. The next page gives you a summary as of the end of October of the financial activities of Unity School, which is operated by Unity Church of Hawaii. As you know, our preschool operates here 5 days a week and has usually an enrollment of between 90 and 100 students, which I understand we are at that level now. It is a very popular program, generally with a waiting list at every enrollment for people in the Oahu community who want to have high-quality preschool for their children. So we're very proud of that operation, and I want to present these financial statements to you. This is not a complete financial statement because we are still working to bring up to date the old records of Unity School so that we can have a full and complete financial report every month and to complete a financial independent review of consolidated statements for the church and Unity School. I noticed it says September there, even though it says October at the top of the page. So let me apologize for that. This is for the month of October, where the preschool activities brought in $115,000 in revenue, compared to $84,000 in expenses, with net ordinary income of $30,000 for the month, bringing the income so far for the 11 months of, or for the first 10 months of this year to $189,000. The preschool has been a successful operation for some time and has generated cash reserves, and you can see at the bottom that there's $184,000 in restricted funds, and the remainder is in unrestricted funds, and the total cash is $1.4 million. So I think we can take great pride in the success, not only the financial success, but the success in terms of the number of students whose lives have been benefited by the preschool here on our campus. And now the one final thing I want to talk with you about, I always like to look forward. And this past week, I am very pleased and want to give sincere thanks to each member of the Board of Trustees for moving ahead with financial planning for the upcoming year. We did meet Thursday night, and we had a very productive session in which we adopted a budgetary plan for the upcoming year. And I will be giving you more details of that plan as it unfolds beginning next month. But I just want to mention, for your information, the work that was done by your Finance Committee and Board of Trustees in bringing about this budget. You can see on the back page the guiding principles that were developed and approved, developed by our Finance Committee, which includes Reverend Tim, Thomas Gallagher, and also Catherine Burton and Marcia Bethards and myself. We presented the budgetary guiding principles, which did get amended a little bit by the Board of Trustees and then adopted. And so this is what we followed. And I just want to review it very briefly with you, that we agreed that we as a board and as a congregation will accept and recognize abundance, that we will demonstrate stewardship over the offerings we receive. We will treat the offerings that come to this community very respectfully and very carefully, making sure they're properly handled and recorded and reported. we will live within our means. And I want you to know that the budget adopted by your Board of Trustees is a break-even budget, one that lives within its means, so that we're not planning to spend more than we take in. We will tithe based on spiritual principles, tithing outside of this organization 10% of all unrestricted donations that come in to this ministry. We will pay the taxes that are due according to the law. We will pay off any loans and debts that we have. We do pay our debts every month fully. We have only one outstanding loan, and that is the very important low-interest loan of $4,100 that we received from Unity Worldwide Ministries to redo our rain gutters this past year, and we pay that off every month. We pay the interest on it, plus reducing principal. We will build reserves for the future. I mentioned that before, and it is very important for us to have operating reserves to support the organization. That's something we're going to be working on more this year. We will be prudent in making financial commitments. Anytime we enter into a contract or agreement, we will carefully assess what the liabilities and obligations are that come with it. We will prioritize our long-term needs, making a long-term financial plan so that in the future we replace the roof before it's leaking instead of after we have that happen. We will leave a legacy, and that's the endowment we spoke about. We will maintain accountability by having an annual independent review of our financial statements as is required in our bylaws, and by periodically having a full audit of our accounting records to make sure that we have reliable systems. And finally, we will thank God for our abundance and for all of the good that has come our way. So that's what we did at the board meeting, and we did adopt that budget. The budget does plan on the continuation of some of the successes of the past year, and I want to mention just a couple of them. One of the successes of the past year was our fundraising efforts, guided by our fundraising committee that brought us wonderful and fun silent auctions, as well as a fabulous celebration of the 81st anniversary of this ministry, and did bring in money. And we are looking forward to continuing and increasing those productive activities, which have been fun and exciting as well as financially rewarding. We also had a very successful SEE program and other classes this past year. Catherine Burton talked about that, and we're anticipating that continuing forward. That also is a source of revenue for the church, and we're anticipating it even increasing a little bit more. You heard Catherine mention she's already planned new classes for between Christmas and New Year's. We'll be seeing that happen next year as well, and we're also asking that we have a tithing class to help everyone who wants to in the congregation to actually have the experience of tithing and see the abundance that tithing brings about. So that's on the agenda for next year. We expect to see Courtyard Cafe, our very successful Sunday morning breakfast activity, continue as a break-even operation. It pays its way. It doesn't cost the ministry anything extra. And we are also looking to find some additional members who want to contribute appreciated stock or other securities that they may own. So those are some goals that we've set for the next year. We also are looking for a short-term activity in the space that used to be our thrift store. That's still an open question. I know Jerry Denton has talked about that a couple of times. So those of you who have activities in mind, you want to bring those to the Strategic Planning Committee. But for right now, we're only looking for the next few months to try to generate a little bit of income while we're making a longer-term decision about that particular space. So that's my report on the budget that was adopted. I'm very proud of the work that your Board of Trustees has done this year to bring us into a time of financial accountability and transparency. So please join me in giving the board a big hand. And if there are any questions before I sit down, I will be happy to take a shot at answering them. And if there are not, oh, I do see one from Alice, yes. Yeah, you do need to. You want to Well, but I think we're recording, so we need you to give your name.
I know.
Could you speak right into this? We're recording now.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's a little it's a little high for me. All right. Is our problem with the school resolved? You know, that we were having difficulty with the financial part of it.
We have made great headway on resolving the issues about full access to the school financial records and complete and accurate monthly financial statements. That's the reason I'm not giving you a full balance sheet, because there are still some acknowledged errors in the accounts that need to be sorted out. I think that I can report to you that we had a good meeting on Tuesday with our outside auditors, and the school was represented there, and I think we're making great headway in resolving all those issues, and I expect them to be resolved very shortly.
Okay, thank you for that. The other question is relatively simple. I think we were paying back, the church, were paying back money to Legacies of Aloha. Under what category does that show in the report here?
That does not show in this report. After we had our annual meeting in March, we asked that we find a different way to make that repayment, and it was approved by the congregation that instead of taking 4% of the full portfolio and providing it as operating support to the church each year, we would wait until that 4% amounted to enough to fully repay the remaining $140,000 that was being paid back.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. Other questions?
So, hi, my name's Jade. I just had a question about the craft fair, since you're saying that the old space is going to be a Deja Vu space. The Deja Vu is going to be a mixed-use space now. How much money did the craft fairs generate for the outside crafters coming in? What was the amount?
Thank you. The craft fair that took place in November, let me give you the exact amount, generated $565.
Okay. I know that there were some goals that were set for next year, and I guess one of the concerns that I have is about that mixed-use space. You know, we have this goal of growing the church and also growing the youth program, and I strongly, I was part of the discussion in strategic planning regarding the use of that mixed space, and I thought that there was going to be consideration to have that mixed-use space include also youth education. I don't know if this is the appropriate time to address the board with regards to this, or if you would like me to hold off on that question, Madam President.
I can give you a brief answer to that.
Okay.
Because I probably didn't make it clear enough in my discussion of the budget. Okay. We had looked at budgeting for an amount to be produced on an ongoing basis, but after the discussion of the Board of Trustees, we decided not to do that. And we decided that instead we would set a goal of doing something temporary, short-term, between January and April, that would generate approximately $2,400. So we did not budget any income from that space after that, because we wanted to leave it open for the Strategic Planning Committee to give us some direction on how it should be used and whether or not that particular space will generate income.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for raising that, Jade. I think I didn't clarify that on the first round. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. My name is Marcia Bethards, and I'm also on the membership committee. Debbie Catania and I. Hi, Debbie. She's out of town. And I just wanted to remind everyone about the membership renewal. It is happening right now. All right, so the bylaws have changed, and the renewal deadline is now December 31st. So if you haven't filled out a form, then please go online. We've made it available you can renew your membership online. You just click on membership resources and you'll be able to complete the application there, and you'll even get a receipt, and we'll get a receipt. And then in January, that's when the new membership classes will be held on the first 3 Sundays in January. And I know there are some people that are going to be new members. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to say that class is open, the membership classes, that's open for anybody who just wants to learn more about unity and what we teach, whether or not you intend to become a member. And we will also be making provision. I want it to be online as well. So just so you know that. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And I never introduced myself. I'm Joanne Adams. I'm the president of the board. I think I should now since I'm giving the president's report. And it occurred to me that during the service, we often ask, are there any people new to the church? So do we have any that are new to this meeting, the town hall meeting? Yay! Please stand so we can acknowledge you. Hooray! Thank you so much. And we hope you keep coming back and bring your little cherubs with you. And thank you, Jeff, for coming. Okay, I have allowed myself 5 minutes, and good luck with this one, so I'll do my very best. In November, as was mentioned, we have the craft fair. Did people enjoy that? I got the sense that people enjoyed sort of reconnecting in that space. We did not really intend for it to be much of a moneymaker, although it did bring in between $500 and $600. I did want to also report that several members of the board attended Eye of the Storm. The board is taking very seriously its own internal process and how we communicate with each other, as well as with members of the church. And Eye of the Storm has been extremely helpful and eye-opening for all of us. Yay, yes. In November 9th, Linda alluded to the fact that we had a meeting with the attorneys and Sergio Galisa, who's the executive director of the school, and Reverend Tim. And that was when we started ironing out how Unity School will provide redacted data to the board, and that the board treasurer is going to be cleared by DHS so she can get access to their QuickBooks. So we're really making great strides along that line. On the 29th, we had a meeting with the parents at Unity School, and we found out that they were very concerned about disenrollment, which was an unintended consequence. We did not foresee that. So that night, we modified the policy so that students would not be disenrolled, and we delayed implementation of the policy until January 1st, 2019. We're also in the process of developing a school committee, so we're working very actively to strengthen the bonds between the school and the church. And I would like to take time. Do we know the current status of Sergio? I know at one meeting on in December, he was supposed to come, and he ended up in the hospital. So I think, is he now on vacation, or is he in the hospital? Do we know? We don't know. So please, thoughts and prayers for Sergio, who's the executive director of the school, and we're hoping that he has successfully moved from emergency status in the hospital to fun and frolic on vacation. Okay, at the November 29th meeting of the board, we did several things in addition to the one I addressed about the school. We also passed election procedures for a closer and more visible monitoring of the election at the annual meeting, and we appointed 3 of the 6 members to the election committee. The board liaison will be Kathy Whitmire. The other 2 members will be Loke Simone and Linda Wong. We are still asking, we need 3 more members, so anyone else who is interested, we will probably finish up those appointments at the January meeting, because January is awfully close to our March meeting, so we will be working aggressively to fill those remaining spots. We also approved the retreat proposal. So those of you, if you recall, Suzanne Sims has been working with Reverend Tim about creating a retreat center function for the church, and we have now the board has passed those policies, approve those contracts so she can go out and start contracting with others and bringing in the business. Kathy also alluded to the December 4th meeting. I won't read over who all was in attendance, but as you can see, we had the heavy-duty decision makers all at the same table, and that really was very, very helpful. We got an agreement that whatever data the auditors needed from us and from the school will be presented to them on or before December 31st. Yay. Yeah. They, in turn, will present a draft report of the independent review of 2015 in advance for approval at our February meeting. So that means, now again, crossing fingers, and it depends on, if we hand them data and it turns out to be a nightmare, we can't do this. But assuming that things go smoothly, we may actually at the annual meeting be able to announce that we finally completed the independent audit, the independent review of 2015. We also, since we were feeling rather heady about the whole thing, we talked about 2016, 2017, and 2018. The auditors advised us that it would be best to do 2016 and 2017 combined as an independent review, and then to hold off the audit until 2018 for several reasons. One is that we, in 2018, moved to Stephen Lee CPA, which made our books easier. Amy was then fully on board for the school side, which will make the school side easier. And then the accountants brought to the table that there have been some changes in the way that they will do the audit. So everybody was in agreement that 2018 seemed to be the best year to audit. So those are our goals for the following year. Okay. Now, it's 1:42, and I don't know how much time to spend on this. So I will spend just a brief amount, and if people want more information, we'll open up for less chat, and you can say, let's chat more. I understand that there has been concern about the membership lists. So I put together some brief slides to explain to you where we are with membership lists. We are a public corporation that is nonprofit in the state of Hawaii, and we have members. And we are also at the federal level tax exempt. All of those set up an environment which requires transparency, particularly on the expenditure side. Also, when you have a membership organization, the law is designed to allow members to talk to each other in advance of the meeting. And there are specific sections set aside. We are required to keep a list of members, including addresses, and we are required to make that available to any director and any member. Now, not members, not regular attendees. So if you attend regularly but you're not a member, you cannot have access to that list. But if you are a member, you can have access to the list. The purpose of that being so that you can contact other members in advance of the annual meeting to get together and formulate things that you would either want to discuss or pass or so on and so forth. Now, about the membership list, Debbie Catania and I, back in May, did a whole lot of work on this issue because one of the questions from the Attorney General is, we've received a complaint about your failure to respond to inquiries for information. So I started to pull together, well, what has been our history on requests for information and our response? We had no data. None. So I went back to people that I knew probably asked questions and said, did you ask any questions? And they said yes or no. And I said, can you forward me what you have? And we sort of reverse engineered a record. Well, Debbie and I realized that moving forward, that was not the best way to go. So we put together a form, and if you want to would you mind assisting me with this? It's called a request for information form, and what it does is it picks up the essential parts of the statute so that when you make a request, you'll be automatically complying with the statute. So you have to make a written request, so hence the form. You have to indicate the purpose with particularity as to why you are going to use the information, and we have boxes to check and places for you to describe how you're going to use it. And then at the bottom, we also indicated, because this comes straight from the statutes, that there are 4, what we would probably call thou shalt nots, or negative affirmations. There are 4 things you are not allowed to do with this information. To solicit money or property, you cannot use it for any commercial purpose, you cannot sell or purchase the list, and you cannot publish it in whole or in part. So right above where your signature is, it's very clear in bold what your obligations are regarding this data. So you have to indicate to us in writing the information you need, the purpose you're using it for, how it's connected. So what will happen then is as you fill out each one of these, we will complete a log, and the log will basically be 1 line for each sheet. 1 line for each sheet, you know, saying Catherine Burton came in on this date and asked for whatever she asked for, and then this is the date she received it. At the end of 2018, we will couple all those requests together with the log on top, and we'll have the complete record for 2018. We'll start a new log in 2019. So you can see how, over time, if we are ever asked again by the Attorney General or any other interested party who have made requests for information and what was the response, it will all be there. There will be a log on top with a certain entry and the individual requests. And of course, since we love electronic versions, we will scan them periodically. So anyway, that is where we are. I understand that the website indicates that you can opt out. That is not supported under the law. We must collect names and addresses, and we must reveal them to any member or board of director or their attorneys who asks. So there is no opt-out. Now, what you could do is, if you don't want your home address, you could give a P.O. box or a business address, but you cannot opt out. And again, that's because the purpose is to allow members to talk to each other. And their concern is if the board would somehow try and suppress intra-member communication. That's what they're worried about. And that's why they want members to be able to talk to each other. So I apologize to the staff that we created this in May and we did not do anything about implementing it until it became clear that we were starting to get requests. So I printed off the forms and I added some instructions, and I will come in on Monday and work with the staff to answer any other questions about this issue. I also have, if people are interested, I won't drag you through all of it, but I did make copies of the relevant sections of 414D, I don't know what I did with it now, to show you the statutory underpinnings of our collection of the data and our requirement to reveal that to members. Okay. Now, I did talk with Johanna Kelly about whether or not we could expand. She had interest on expanding those 4 thou shalt nots into more thou shalt nots that would incorporate features that we have at the church. And that could be done, and we can take that up. The best meeting to do that would be in January, because that's when we will be considering potential bylaws amendments. Okay, so I'm hoping we are very, very much over time. Normally, we try to end in 10 minutes. So I will open up the microphone for people who want to speak, and if we want to extend, we can take a vote at 1:59 to see if people want to extend. Ricky? Yeah, come up. Come up and speak at the mic.
Hi, everybody. My name's Ricky. I'm on the board. I just have a very quick question. Are we going to remove, since there seems to be some there was some misunderstanding about the opt-out? Thank you for providing this, very helpful. Are we going to remove that from the website? That's my question.
Yes, I will write an email in response to Johanna's email, which I received today, addressing this. And there was one other thing that I think will be clarified, and that is whether if you do not renew your membership on 12/31, are you no longer a member? That needs to be clarified. The black letter would indicate that if you do not renew, you would not be a member. But frankly, our conduct has been, and our practice has been, if you show up hopping mad at the annual meeting and insist that you can vote, we let you vote. So I think we need to get in black and white what is our practice and procedure on that so that it's even-handed for everyone and we know what it is. Okay, so I don't want to discuss too much more than that until I've had a chance to collect my thoughts and put it into the hopper properly. Jan has developed a new procedure for us to help streamline and reduce the amount of time we spend in trying to understand what each other is doing. I have to get my thoughts together and discuss it with a few people and put it in the hopper and see where it goes. Okay.
Thank you. So I am glad that we were presented with this request for information, but I do have an issue with my personal information being shared. And I guess what concerns me is that are these lists being, I guess my first question is, are these lists being provided digitally or is it a hard copy?
That would actually be up to the staff. I would imagine most of them are in hard copy. You have to open the records and you have to allow, inspect includes copying. So you would either print off a copy or if it was a hard copy, you were able to Xerox that copy.
I would like for us to consider as a community what the policy is with regards to that. I also, because I brought it up to a board member the other day and she asked me to actually seek legal counsel with regards to my concerns about it. And I have reached out to a lawyer who only practices nonprofit law to get some clarity around this, because what I can't quite understand is, I'm members of other communities that are nonprofits as well. And as a member of that community, I cannot request a membership list in those within those entities that I'm a member of. I cannot request a full membership list. And so what I'm trying to understand is, what are those entities doing differently to safeguard their members who do not want their information shared? I know that there are a number of members present, and as that the opt-out was circulated and people were trying to get their information removed. So it's obvious that there are people who do not want their information shared. And there's other organizations which this does not take place. Members are not able to access other members' information. So I'm just wondering, I think that there needs to be some clarity around that. I'm not exactly sure that we are operating under best practices with regards to that. I know that the AEG gave us some information. I would like for us to get some more clarity with regards to that, because I personally would not want my information accessed. I would want to know what safeguards are going to be put in place so that my list doesn't show up on the dark web or, things happen. So if it's coming hard copy, is it being asked to be returned by a certain time? If it's going digitally, what kind of safeguards are being put into place for that? Those are just my concerns. I don't expect answers, but I want to make sure that the board hears that. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm not sure what other type of member organizations you belong to. It could be that some of them have members but aren't truly member organizations. I did read the statute And the statute made it clear that if you are a church that is not hierarchical in nature and is more congregational in nature, which is what we are, that we do fall under 414D. And 414D is very explicit that you have to gather this information and you have to make it available.
Hi, my name is Robin McCrary, and I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Honolulu. And we have Club Runner, and you can see their birthday, where they live, their home business, phone number, everything. So, there are other clubs out here and things that offer all that information.
Okay, thank you. Please line up at the microphone.
Hello, my name is Linda Guess, and I have worked for nonprofits. In fact, I work for a nonprofit. And I also work for one of the biggest nonprofits here on the island that serves children and families that have disabilities. And there was always some type of statement where people could put in writing that they did not want their information shared. And so I would ask that we revisit this. Thank you.
I have already discussed it with attorney. I'll try and revisit it with him, but he was very clear. He said even if 302 doesn't require it, Section 109 does.
Hi, Joanne. Most of you know me. I've been here for 30 years. And when I came here, I started with Toastmaster Winter Circle 2, and I also joined Unity. And I was a member for 20 years at Unity. And all of a sudden, when Jack arrived, I no longer was a member. And so, therefore, I'm here again, and I'm going to bring my membership back. And now, at this time, I would like to say something in regards to the church here, in regards to this form that was given to us. I am still in Toastmaster. I'm still in Messiah. I've done it for 13 years now, and it took me 13 years to get the front row seat in the soprano, and it was a wonderful Messiah this last time, the best one they've had so far. And I suggest, if you haven't seen it at Central Union Church, you should go sometime. So that's what I have to say. I'm back.
Thank you. B. Alt.
Hello, I'm Bev Ting, member. I had a question about the personal information. It's not Social Security number. It's my
Names
address.
and addresses.
Just names and addresses.
Correct.
And then part 2 of an I statement is I've been here since 2010, and I know I've received some wonderful letters from Unity of Hawaii, from Sky. Sky used to send a lot of thank you letters and for volunteering or things we did for the church, and then annual letters. So I know I've received letters like that. So I think that for me personally, I don't mind having the church have my address or phone number and then to mail me those things. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Juliet, and I'm going to change the subject. I hope you don't mind. It's just a quick statement, and I wrote it down to keep an I statement.
Yay!
I am hopeful that we all can band together in love and oneness and do so in a manner where Reverend Tim will really want to stay. That's it.
Thank you.
I have a quick question going back to the information. What are the consequences for somebody if they used it to make mailings or any of those 4 things?
We haven't really addressed that yet. It just says that it's illegal. So we would have to discuss that in some sort of a policy.
Yeah.
I certainly think part of it would be good luck getting another list, but I'm not sure what else. We'll have to discuss that.
Even if it goes out of the people's hands.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing. And I'm hoping that by putting it in writing and making it clear that it's for limited purposes, people will realize how important it is to guard this information. And one of the things that I've noticed since I've been here is sort of a lack of knowledge that there is a domain of information for members only. And we need to realize that there's that domain, and we have to hold that sacrosanct, that there is information that we as members have access to, but that does not mean it's available to the general public in whole or in part.
So you're saying it's against the law if somebody uses that for those purposes?
Correct.
It's against the law.
Correct. I do not know the remedies, but it is against the law.
Talking about Tim, did we get an answer if you've been accepted?
Let me respond to that, and some people may not know what you're asking about. Recently, I went to Northern California, Unity and Marin, in a discernment process. I had told the board in June that I was in a discernment process about what is mine to do, whether it was mine to stay or if I needed to pursue ministry elsewhere. There is a time of prayer, a time of seeing what my options are, is what now people understand is part of my discernment process, that it's not just, being in an ivory tower somewhere meditating. And so I believe what Robin is referring to is, have I heard anything back from Unity and Marin?
Correct.
Is that your question?
Yes.
And my understanding is that board met yesterday, and I haven't heard anything. And I did talk with the board president earlier last week, just so he could fill me in on what the process is like. So,
will you share the process?
The process? The process is that the board was going to meet the following Saturday, which was yesterday. And so, anyway, I will certainly fill you in on anything that happens or changes.
Can I ask one other question? So I heard that you got an offer in New Zealand when you were there. So if you don't take the one at Marin, is New Zealand or Australia looking awesome?
I was not applying in New Zealand. As I said, I was there teaching and speaking, and the people of New Zealand and Australia are amazing. And so I was delighted and surprised when I got home here and received an email that their leadership and board had unanimously voted to invite me to come to Unity of Auckland, New Zealand, as the senior minister. So I think that's what you're referring to.
Well, I'm saying if you don't get the Marin, are you really considering New Zealand or Australia?
I appreciate...
You can draw a boundary if you'd like.
I will, and I'll do it in a nice and
I just want to wish
way.
you the best, either way.
Thank you.
Okay?
I appreciate that, Robin. Yeah, and I appreciate your prayers and your thoughts, and I love the people here and this particular ministry. You're in my heart and in my prayers, and I would invite you to join me in prayer as well as we are in God's waiting room. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it is now 2:04. How many people would like to continue the meeting? How many people would like to adjourn? Oh, it looks like we may need to count. Yeah.
May we have a recount of the?
I think
see it.
a count, not a recount,
Yeah.
because there were so few hands on either side. How many people would like to extend the meeting? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. We're going to need someone to count the room. How many do not want to adjourn? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, the main thing is, what did we have in the first one, 15? What's the majority of the body? How many are in the room? No, it has to be the majority of the body in order to pass. No,
I would say it's the majority of those voting.
Those that voted. Oh, okay. In that case, all those who want to adjourn, because I think that's the smaller group now. Okay, so we'll continue. How about till 2:15, and then we'll take another vote.
And I do apologize to the board because I have not been present in this community. And I want to share just really quickly why I haven't been present. I'm really, yeah, I did. Linda. I just took Eye of the Storm. Come on. So really, why I haven't been present is because I have been feeling a lot of distrust and fear and sadness with regards to how I have been perceiving some of the actions of the board to be incongruent with the actions of the unity movement and the beliefs and principles and policies, the foundation of our movement. What I want to bring up is that by chance I was invited by a teacher to the meeting that happened between the parents and Sergio, Reverend Tim, and Joanne as president sharing this new policy. And I don't want to get into the specifics of the meeting by any means, but what I do want to address, one of the things that hit me like a ton of bricks was that I was unaware of these policies that were being passed. And so it made me feel like, okay, here I am. I'm a member of this community. I care about this church. I'm a practitioner of the principle. I take classes. I'm on the road to become a spiritual enrichment teacher. You know, I want to do everything unity, okay? LUT, I want to do it. And I stepped away from this community and have not been playing an active part. And so how, you know, it's challenging, right, at times. But one of the things that I want to bring up is that I'm not opposed to what has been happening on the board, the policies, the procedures. I think that they're great. I think that, yes, we need a book. We need to set some guidelines. But what I am asking the board to continue to work towards, as you guys work towards these, you know, your own growth, you mentioned Eye of the Storm. I know you guys had someone come in recently, is that we continue to make principle a big part of what we do here at Unity Church of Hawaii, a big part of our leadership, and how we interact with the community, not only members, but the community as a whole. And I think one of my other concerns that I'm going to just bring up in this quick little snippet that's already taken too long is that I'm really concerned that these policies are being passed, and the only way that I, as a member, would be aware of them is if I read the minutes and then request for a copy of a policy that was already passed by the board. I think there's an opportunity, I believe that there's an opportunity for the board to do a better job at sharing, and I'm sorry if that sounded a little, John, you can tell me later what I said wrong because I'm really trying to be careful about what I say, because I mean this with all respect. But I think that there's an opportunity for us to grow our ability to share the policies and procedures that are being put into place prior to them being passed by the board. We see this happen in government all the time. A policy or a bill goes up,
I'm gonna cut you
and
off
it
there.
goes back and forth before it gets passed.
Jade, please.
I'm afraid that hasn't
Jade, you're
happened
out of order.
here. So thank you.
All right. The reason I called her out of order is because I have put a notebook in the office that has proposed policies, pending policies, and past policies. So now when you come up with a policy, you need to take it to the office and put it in the pending folder. And then once it is passed, there's a 30-day implementation before it becomes effective. So then it would be in the pending for 30 days, and then it would be officially effective. So I think we're already addressing your issue, which is why I wanted to cut you off, is because I wanted to get to the solution. Okay? You're welcome. Okay, thank you.
I was unaware of that. My name is Diana Thomas. I was unaware of that procedure as well. Did you explain this to the congregation?
I think you were the one who asked me to do something like that, and I said that I would, and I did.
I know, but did you explain? Yeah. Thank you, but did you make the congregation aware? Because it's like you're getting, okay, I feel sad because it's like Jade is being attacked for not knowing about this, but I didn't know about this thing in the office as well. So I'm sorry if I didn't listen.
Yeah.
I thank you for your attention, for putting this out. But when did you tell the congregation about this?
I'm not sure if I told them. I think I was asked to do it, and I did it. So I should probably do it. All right, I'll announce it. I just announced it right now. This is what we're doing. Okay, the other thing that I've done that I was asked to do and have not announced is I was asked at the last one to send out thank you cards for those who donated to the minister's fund, and I put those in the mail today. There's nothing like a town hall deadline to get me motivated. Okay, next.
Can we please post that procedure thing for the policy on the website as well, under board, whatever?
That would
board
be
page.
I transmit policies when they are passed to the minister, and then the minister would transmit it to Johanna, I think, to do the posting to the website. The board does not directly post to the website.
Okay. Hi, I'm Donna Tashi. I may be at the wrong meeting. I have some ideas for the church to be proactive in the world. Is this not the correct forum? Where should I present this information?
You could present it here, but I'm wondering if it might not be better for the strategic planning. Where's Jerry? I know he's here. Jerry. See Jerry with his hand up?
Yeah.
He meets on Thursdays. I'm not sure. Is it the second one? Second Thursday. And they are the ones that are doing like community outreach and if that's what you're talking about.
This is not community
Okay,
outreach.
all right.
No, this is worldwide.
Oh, well, then that's outside the church. So I would talk with him, and he will pick up your ideas. Do you want to share what those ideas are now? You've got 2 minutes until we revote, okay?
Okay. Well, quickly, a 24/7 peace prayer using all religions. Getting a hold of the Dalai Lama and the Pope and, Jewish people and Muslim people and everybody spiritual, starting a nonstop peace prayer for peace within, peace between people, peace between countries, to help bring about peace on our planet. My second idea was for a weekly prayer, since we're now all online, addressing various issues. We would have to have a way to communicate among all the churches and things. But for example, if we pray for a typhoon that's coming, someplace to dissipate, or if we all get together and pray for a cure for cancer, or if we all get together and pray that if there's some place of social unrest or some place that needs food, that we can pray weekly, and there can be topics given weekly to people to do that, if that's possible, or even monthly, something along those lines. My third idea is I'm kind of an observer, And we have a day for Mother's Day, and we have Memorial Day, and we have Veterans Day, and we have, all those days. But there's no senior or disabled day. And so it's a big gap. And I really think that if we as a community, Unity Church as a community, could present that to the world and get it to Congress, everybody will vote for it because it's a win-win for everybody. So there's a third idea. And a fourth idea is make Easter more like Christmas, but for poor people in specific. Have 4 charitable days a year. And if we can help sponsor that, make Easter a day where, in advance everybody buys Christmas presents, but for Easter to buy presents for people, for like inner city kids who are going to need sneakers and soccer balls and basketballs and baseballs and, things for them to do during the summer. And make Easter be a day of giving those presents, since Christ our Lord, said to share, and give and receive, and we ought to be giving to those people who are in need and find some ways to help them. And then if we have 4 charities day a year, we can combine that with a blood drive. So we keep the blood banks and the food banks all filled.
Okay. Thank you. Those are all wonderful ideas. I would not only recommend that you meet with Jerry on strategic planning, but I think maybe since some of them are prayer related. Okay. All right. So I was going to direct you to Tim, but you're already way ahead of me. Okay. Now, Latrice wants to make an announcement.
Hello, everyone. I'm Latrice, president of World Peace Plan and head of the Ho'opono program here at Unity Church of Hawaii. I want to let you know over the past year we've served over 1,200 meals. So I want to say thank you to that. Yes, congratulations. Also, we have some T-shirts in the works. If you can see this, it says Feed the Need. Ho'opono 2019 Unity Church of Hawaii and World Peace Plan. So look forward to being a part of that next year. Aloha.
Okay, we are now at 2:17. All those who would like to continue, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. All, 13? Okay. All those who would like to adjourn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So the motion fails. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Okay. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. All those opposed? Okay, with that, we will have a closing prayer and sing the community song. Tim?
Oops, pardon me. All right. Let's take a deep breath. We give thanks for this time together. We give thanks for the sharing. We give thanks for the ideas. And we know the presence of God. The presence of God working as one. We give thanks and we say together, and so it is. And if we could stand and join hands, we'll sing, Weave. Looks sort of like the state of Texas. Yeah. Okay. Weave, weave, weave us together. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave, weave, weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Thank you. Aloha.